The electricity in the stadium, the buzzer beaters, the Cinderella stories. New heroes are born. Which team will be the last to cut down the nets? Which team will be the last ones dancing? Welcome to March. Welcome to the madness. March Madness.
The NCAA Men's Division I Basketball Championship is a single elimination tournament played each spring in the United States, currently featuring 68 college basketball teams. The tournament, organized by the National College Athletic Association, also known as NCAA, was created in 1939 and was the idea of Ohio State University coach Harold Olson. It is known informally as March Madness or the Big Dance, and has become one of the most famous annual sporting events in the United States.
The format of the tournament has changed drastically from its first years, where they first started with only 8 teams in 1939 to 1950. For instance, the tournament originally admitted 8 teams. Only the championship team from every conference was invited to play in the tournament. In 1951, the tournament doubled in size to 16 teams, and in the next 20 years, the tournament fluctuated between 22 and 25 squads. Further expansion occurred in the 70s as the tournament steadily grew towards 40 teams. The tournament continued to grow in popularity and competitiveness, and in 1985, the tournament grew to 64-team format, which many of us grew up watching. However, in recent times, the tournament grew to allow 68 teams, in which 4 of these would have played in games in the first round before all remaining teams compete in the second round. Today, the tournament has grown into March Madness and is a huge nationwide event. The tournament has 68 teams and draws over 700,000 fans, and the Final Four is held in Dome Stadium seating well over 40,000. The tournament now determines the national champion, but that wasn't always the case. Until 1950s, the NIT, National Invitational Tournament, was just as big a tournament as the NCAA, and teams often chose to enter the NIT and bypass the NCAA tournament. Today, the NIT consists of teams that failed to receive a berth in the NCAA tournament, and thus has been nicknamed the Not Invited Tournament. Although it is downplayed by many fans as it doesn't boast the top competition that the NCAA tournament does, coaches still use the tournament as a stepping stone for their programs.
The tournament is divided into 4 regions, and each region has at least 16 teams, but 4 additional teams are added by the selection committee, also known as the First 4 or bubble teams. The committee is charged with making each of the 4 regions as equal as possible. The names of the regions vary from year to year and are based on geographic location, such as Southeast, East, Midwest, or West. Since 1997, the NCAA has required that all Final Four sessions take place in domed stadiums with a minimum capacity of 40,000. As of 2009, the minimum was increased to 70,000 by adding additional seating on the floor of the dome and raising the court on a platform.
The first 4 games are played during the work week, between Selection Sunday and weekend immediately after. Once the first 4 games are played, the 4 winning teams assume their places in the bracket of 64 teams.
During the second round, also called the round of 64, the number 1 rank plays the number 16 rank in all regions. The number 2 rank plays the number 15, and so on. 16 second round games are played on the Thursday following the first 4 round games. The remaining 16 second round games are played Friday. At this point, the contestants are reduced to 32 teams. The third round, the round of 32, is played on Saturday and Sunday immediately after the second round. The third round consists of Thursday's winners playing in 8 games on Saturday, followed by Friday's winners playing in the remaining 8 third round games on Sunday. Thus, after the first weekend, 16 teams remain, commonly known as the Sweet 16.
The teams that are still competing after the first weekend advance to the regional semifinals, the Sweet 16, and finals, the Elite 8, which are played during the second weekend of the tournament. 4 regional semifinal games are played Thursday and 4 are played Friday. After Friday's games, 8 teams remain. Saturday and Sunday each feature 2 regional final games. After the second weekend of the tournament, the 4 regional champions are the final 4.
The winners of each region advance to the Final Four, where the national semifinals are played on Saturday and the national championship is played on Monday. The single elimination game structure allows weaker opponents to upset stronger opponents, tagging them as Cinderella teams. The term was first popularized in 1950 when the City College of New York made a run in the tournament. More examples of recent notable Cinderellas are teams such as the Jimmy Valvano-led North Carolina State Wolfpack, who won the 1983 tournament after knocking off the number 1 ranked University of Houston, who had future NBA Hall of Famers Clyde Drexler and Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon.
For decades, fans have been entering into office pools or private gambling-related contests to see who can predict the tournament most correctly. The filling out of a tournament bracket has been referred to as a national pastime. Filling out a tournament bracket with predictions is called the practice of bracketology, and even has President Obama participating.
As a tournament ritual, the winning team cuts down the nets at the end of regional championship games, as well as the national championship game. Starting with the seniors, players each cut a single strand off of each net. The head coach cuts the last strand connecting the net to the hoop. This tradition is credited to Everett Case, the coach of North Carolina State, who stood on his players' shoulders after the Wolfpack won in 1947. Our third greatest moment in the history of March Madness comes from Christian Laettner, who hit the last-second shot against Kentucky in 1992. Regardless of how it ended, Duke's 92 Elite Eight duel with Kentucky would have been remembered as a March classic. Sean Wood's 21 points on an improbable runner put Kentucky up 103-102 with 2.1 seconds to play in overtime. Unfortunately for him, all he had done was set the stage for history's most famous buzzer beater. Grant Hill's long inbounds pass found Christian Laettner, who had hit all 9 of his shots from the field on the night. Laettner switched a spinning fadeaway from 18 feet to propel his team to the Final Four and himself into every highlight reel of the last 2 decades.
Quick pass to half court and call a quick timeout so they can get in better shooting range.
There's the pass to Laettner. Puts it up. Yes!
The greatest moment in the history of March Madness comes from none other than the great Mike Jordan, who hit the game winner to lead North Carolina to the 1982 National Championship. For most of its first 40 minutes, the 1982 championship game showcased the efforts of North Carolina junior James Worthy on one side and Georgetown freshman Patrick Ewing on the other. In the final seconds though, it was freshman in Tar Heel Blue who stole the show. At the time, Michael Jordan was just another very good first-year guard, one who had already scored 14 points against the Hoyas. But after a 17-footer put North Carolina up for good, the legend of Air Jordan had begun.
1-point ball game. Ewing follow tips. Ewing again. Ewing again. Ewing again. Steal by Worthy. Watch Ewing. He intimidated him. Followed beautifully by Michael Jordan. Oh, he has to stop. Eric Smith, though, recovers. And the tip by Ewing. Ewing comes down, loses it. Floyd is there. He saves it. Off it comes to Fred Brown. The momentum's changing. Brown mishandled the ball. He lost the handle. That was a reach in by Jordan. Jordan is playing superb basketball to Worthy. Doherty to Black. The time, 18. Shot, Jordan, Michael Jordan. Brown.
So our greatest moment in the history of March Madness is when NC State had their last-second win over Houston in 1983. The 6th-seeded Wolfpack were not supposed to give Houston a competitive game. They housed Hall of Famers Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler. With the 1983 championship game tied at 52, Jim Valvano's team had one more possession to go for the mind-boggling win. But Derek Wittenberg's long-range bomb came up much too short, only to be grabbed and slammed home at the buzzer by Lorenzo Charles for the greatest upset finish in NCAA tournament history.
It's down to 7 seconds. You can see the time. Wittenberg. Oh, that's a long ways. They won it. On the dunk.
What this year's tournament has in store. Gonzaga have a #1 ranking for the first time in their school's history and are amongst the favorites to win, whereas perennial powerhouse Kentucky are not even dancing this year. No matter what, however, one thing is for sure. Come March, millions of brackets will be filled out, millions of viewers will be cheering on their team, and the March of Madness will ramble on.